Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Kishla Adderley. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news this evening, the Christie administration has launched the second phase of its signature social program, Urban Renewal. Today, Urban Renewal 2.0 was reintroduced, transferred from the hands of Prime Minister Perry Christie to the new co-chairpersons of the newly formed commission, former Deputy Prime Minister Cynthia Pratt and former Cabinet Minister Algernon Allen, a move which the nation's leader says was a perfect fit. We get the story from Clint Watson.
A quick scan of the room tells the whole story. In it, the Urban Renewal Band, made up of young people steered into productive lives and the opportunity to develop music skills. Not too far away, Calvonia Grant, a young woman whose mother was murdered and she was left paralyzed after being shot. Still, she refuses to be counted out as she fights for her place in society, now employed by Urban Renewal. She's surrounded by senior citizens from various inner-city communities who now enjoy the direct interaction of police who not only work to clean up their neighborhoods, but are exposing them to a rapidly developing country. Refusing to be outdone are a group of young men and women, unemployed, but catching the new wave, purchase their own working uniforms, and are volunteering their service to community by partnering with police. This is a testimony of Urban Renewal 2.0.
Urban Renewal is a living program. It's not a textbook program. It's a program that is grounded in the community and the experiences of the community. And the reason why I asked for police officers to head it initially, because I told them yesterday, the experience you have from the streets alone is an education you cannot get in the classroom.
Prime Minister Perry Christie again challenging the nation to wise up, stop the blame game, and get on board with a movement that's transforming the Bahamas.
We can debate the question of why didn't you fix it, Christie? Or why didn't you fix it, Ingram? Or why didn't you fix it, F&M? Or why didn't you fix it, PLP? And we could get lost in that debate, but the fact of the matter is it needs to be fixed now. This program will not work if we take politics into it. So I'm going to demonstrate my commitment to the program by creating it, but stepping back. It has to have a face of the community, or faces of the community. People must believe in it and not be divided by politics.
Confident that he has placed it in the right hands, former Deputy Prime Minister and National Security Minister Cynthia Pratt and former F&M Cabinet Minister Algernon Allen will serve as co-chairpersons of the Urban Renewal Commission. Their mission, simple but significant, to run with the program and dream the dream conceived by Prime Minister Christie. Mother Pratt says those who live it know the story and saving grace of Urban Renewal. Failing, she declares, is not an option.
If urban renewal fails, this country is in trouble. I want you to understand that. Plain, simple terms. This country is dependent on tourism. If people do not come here because of the crime, then we're in trouble. We must succeed. We cannot afford to say if. We must.
The commission leaders admit that the results won't be overnight in many instances, but will be seen and felt in the years to come. Algernon Allen believes urban renewal is a gift that lifts people out of their depressed state, something that makes people feel good about themselves. At the risk of not being misinterpreted, he uttered this statement.
If we can put hundreds of millions of dollars into roads, my goodness gracious. Let us now, with that same commitment to the people of the country, let us make them feel good about their communities. Let them make them feel good about their country as we transform. house by house.
In the words of National Security Minister Dr. B.J. Nottage, with a combination of the government, the police, and at the helm of it all, Pratt and Allen, it makes for a winning formula. According to Prime Minister Christie, it all goes well in making the Bahamas the best little country on earth. Clint Watson, ZNS News.
Well, already the Urban Renewal Program has helped to clean up a number of communities by removing derelict vehicles and tearing down abandoned buildings which used to hide drugs and weapons. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage says the public can't solve crime alone, but has an important role to play, that is, members of the community. Meantime, Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin announced a major step by her ministry through Urban Renewal to reach scores of needy residents.
In Urban Renewal, we have also brought social services to the young and the old. There's nothing like watching the budding friendship that is developing between the elderly and these police officers who are required to go house to house and to participate in helping to identify people with problems, who they can refer to the necessary agencies to deal with them.
We are going to be able to put a social worker in every outreach center again. Where that team will be in the community, where they will have hands-on interaction with our people.
Well, Deputy Prime Minister Philip Davis says one of the main reasons that the PLP wanted to return to government is because it knew by implementing the Urban Renewal 2.0 program, the country would see a significant turnaround and the hurt among people would begin to subside. He says in keeping with the PLP's Charter for Governance, the Commission was established and he's pleased transformation is already being seen in communities which once beamed with pride.
We know that too many young Bahamians do not live in communities like this anymore. But there is no reason we cannot come together as a nation and build strong communities once again. I believe with my entire being that the young men and women who now live in Baintown and Grantstown, in Nassau Village and Pinewood Gardens, in the 5 Pound lot in Mountain Heights, and in each and every community in the Bahamas, are entitled by right as citizens to a future filled with opportunity for success, a success which so many of us, their predecessors, have experienced.
Well, Urban Renewal 2.0 may be only a few weeks old, but Fox Hill residents are impressed. Earlier today, officers of the crime-fighting program demolished the home of a convicted murderer who killed his wife several years ago and buried her body in the apartment building on the corner of Fox Hill Road and Step Streets. Officer in charge of the Fox Hill Urban Renewal Office, Antonio Monroe, says the building was never completed and was a known site for illicit activities. It's the second building to be destroyed in a matter of weeks in the area.
We were called to the area. We have some information that persons were using the old structure. If you know, that was owned by John Higgs. He was convicted for the murder of his wife a few years back. So now we have went ahead and had it demolished, and we're going to remove the remains to another location.
Now, Officer Monroe says Fox Hillians can expect much more from Urban Renewal 2.0.
It is good that we are moving about, identifying these structures and moving them, because persons are using them to hide weapons and other contrabands to assist in their criminal activities.
Is this the first home you've demolished?
The second, thus far, in Fox Hill area. We're a little slow right now, but we're moving on. We're trying to get it together. We're trying to identify those buildings that are actually being used by criminals to carry out their criminal behavior.
Yesterday, the ZNS Bahamas Showcase was in the Rock Crusher area, canvassing the Mount Moriah and Fort Charlotte communities. Residents and community leaders joined members of the Fort Charlotte Urban Renewal led by Inspector Denzel Barr.
We're doing, we're canvassing the community street by street. We're doing surveys to find out the social conditions, the environmental conditions that really contribute to the occurrence of crime and deviant behavior within that community. And so far we have received much success, as well as we're partnershiping with business community, the churches, to do small home repairs.
Well, members of Parliament for Mount Moriah and Fort Charlotte, Arnold Forbes and Andre Rollins, were also on hand for the community initiative.
I think that urban renewal is important for the well-being of all Bahamians. I believe that this is the linchpin that can break the back of crime. We continue down this road. The responses have definitely been very positive. It's been, in some cases, it's been almost life-changing from almost day to night.
It has exceeded my expectations. I have to say that it is through the efforts of Superintendent Carolyn Bowe and Inspector Denzel Barr that we have seen, and the constituents of Fort Charlotte have seen a lot of positive things happening, and we really appreciate what is being done to improve the quality of life for the residents of Fort Charlotte.
In other news tonight, Balmar officials marking a major milestone in the construction phase of its $3.5 billion Cable Beach-based project today. Construction of the development's iconic casino tower has reached the 100-foot mark, and officials maintain this is just one step in building the region's largest single-phase resort development. Aldavis Munnings attended this morning's ceremony.
When completed, the casino hotel, considered the centerpiece of Balmar, will host the largest casino floor in the Caribbean with over 100,000 square feet of gaming area and is expected to compete with most sophisticated casinos around the world. Reaching 100 feet in elevation, the 9th floor level demonstrates meaningful and sustained progress in Balmar's construction and propels the resort on pace for its official opening. Now in March, the last of the 6,100 piling cages were installed, completing the resort's foundation. By June, the Balmar Casino and Hotel Tower had reached 8 floors, the Grand Hyatt was at 3 levels, and the Mondrian and Rosewood structures were beginning to take shape. With the theme, One Team, One Dream, and now 100 feet, resort officials admit getting to this point wasn't easy.
But we believe with all the support we received so far, with the spirit of the teamwork, we can deliver the many milestones along the way on time.
They're hot days, they're rainy days, they're windy days. Things don't go as planned. Machines break down. They always break down at 2 in the morning. They never break down at 3 in the afternoon. And the resourcefulness and the cleverness is second to none.
Balmar officials presented Prime Minister Perry Christie with a commemorative flag to mark the milestone during Wednesday's brief ceremony. The Prime Minister chided the milestone now requires the government to pay Balmar more funds. Mr. Christie maintains his stance on ensuring more Bahamians are employed there. So far, Balmar is on course to create a total of 8,000 permanent jobs for Bahamians, with a contribution of more than $305 million in annual wages. Balmar has invited Bahamian contractors to bid on over $165 million of projects and awarded more than $117 million of contracts to Bahamian firms, all in the first 17 months.
I am optimistic and will work assiduously with the developer to ensure that more and more Bahamians will benefit from jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities as this exciting project moves forward.
The Prime Minister also anticipates Balmar's announcement of a new casino partner that will coincide with Genting World Casino's future presence in Bimini and will transform the Bahamas into a world-renowned gaming destination.
Such a partner would add greatly to the marketing clout, customer base, and cutting-edge products of the world's most famous brands represented by your hotel partners, Hyatt, Mondrian, Rosewood, and Sheraton. Such an arrangement, I believe, would draw millions of first-time visitors to the Bahamas from both established and new emerging markets.
The Christie administration is keeping its promise to generate more investment in the Bahamas.
I am confident that with the opening and continued development of the ultra-luxury Albany Resort, with its residential Gulf Spa marine facilities, the advancement of other projects now in the pipeline for Grand Bahama and several family islands, together with the completion of the Bahama, the largest single-phase resort development in the history of the Caribbean, we will change the tourism landscape of our country.
Now that Balmar officials have achieved this milestone, Prime Minister Christie eagerly awaits the final completion of the multi-billion-dollar project here in Cable Beach. Prime Minister Christie noted that when Balmar officially opens in December 2014, that will happen during the second year of this current 5-year term. I'm Altaviz Munnings, ZNS News.
Now that Balmar has reached the 100-foot mark, the government will have to pay Balmar developers just over $3 million to sustain the project's roadworks. Prime Minister Perry Christie confirmed to reporters today that those funds are part of the more than $500 million deficit.
We made $2 million plus to the teachers. We have to make a significant sum to the Public Service Union. We have this coming up as well, and so it's all included in budgeting how much we're going to pay for this budget year.
Now, it's only been 2 days since the government announced its statutory board appointments, which have raised questions in some quarters. Prime Minister Christie clarified reports that the newly appointed chairman of the Bank of the Bahamas didn't know about his appointment before the announcement was made.
I personally called Mr. Richard Demerit. He was in Florida about to come to the Bahamas. I called his home. He wasn't there. I called him on his cell phone. I spoke to him on his cell phone. I asked him if he would be prepared to serve. Not the Minister of State for Finance. I did, personally. Right? I then called the managing director of the Bank of the Bahamas and asked whether he would be a suitable person to serve. Once I got those clearances, the appointment was made. So it would be totally incorrect, all right, for anyone to say, including him, okay, that he was not notified and be surprised, because this was something the Prime Minister personally did.
Well, Prime Minister Perry Christie also assuring reporters today that the first 100 days of his administration's plans will be executed through legislation to be introduced in Parliament when it resumes July 25th. That includes the mortgage relief proposal to assist hundreds of homeowners facing foreclosure.
We will be bringing all of the legislation that are required for us to complete our 100-day program. And so I'm taking legislation to Cabinet shortly so that we can be ready for the House of Assembly when we go back on the 25th.
That includes the mortgage plan. Any update on that? I know you were in discussion phases.
That includes the mortgage plan. So we'll be able to speak to that issue all within 100 days. Your meetings are taking place now between the clearing banks and the central bank, the Ministry of Finance. We are working, and all with a view to ensuring that I'm able to speak to the country near the end of 100 days to say to them, this is what has happened, this is where we are.
Well, still to come in the Bahamas tonight, we'll tell you why police have taken more than 100 motorbikes off the streets. That story's after the break. Stay tuned.